For quite a long time now, the radical left has tried to get a federal minimum wage implemented. They actually tried to sneak this into the COVID relief plan, the American Rescue Bill, that Joe Biden and his leftist cronies tried to shove down the throats of the American people. And they tried to do this in what I kind of addressed in a video posted last week, which is the old bait and switch tactic. They name a bill something, and then they include a bunch of pork, which is something that has nothing to do with the topic at hand, but are political wish lists, and they bury that on page 800 or page 900 of a 15,000 page bill. So this is what they tried to do with the federal minimum wage. And the federal minimum wage is an awful idea. Number one, because it kills small business. We already see this happening during COVID, where small business is suffering a lot more than big box stores, partially because of bias. Because Walmart, Target, they were allowed to stay open and operate basically as normal. But small mom and pop stores, small competitors and restaurants, they were not able to operate unhindered. As a matter of fact, they were forced in some states to close down entirely, where Walmart and Target were not. Now, what a federal minimum wage would do to small mom and pop stores who employ, let's say, 3 to 5 people, that they would not do to a large store or a large chain restaurant that employs hundreds or thousands of people, is that they would put a lot more burden on that small mom and pop store. So for a small store that employs 3 people to all of a sudden double or increase by 40 or 30% the wages that are paid out to workers by law, not based on performance, but by law, you have to adjust your balancing of the books to pay your workers this much more money. It's a lot harder and a lot more dangerous for the small business than it is for the big business. Not only that, but the big business in many cases can cut backdoor deals and can find loopholes that small mom and pop businesses could not, because the big business has more influence. They have more to bargain with. Reason number 2 that a federal minimum wage is a really bad idea is because not only does it kill small business, but it kills jobs. Have you gone into any fast food stores recently? You go into a McDonald's or a Panera, and you see that they have a lot less cashiers, a lot less food workers, and a lot more kiosks and automated machines. This is because if you have a choice between installing a $1,000 new system or hiking up permanently your wage for a cashier by 30%, that $1,000 new system that's brand new is going to set you back right off the bat, but it's ultimately going to save you a lot more money than hiring these cashiers. That's just one of many examples, like automated cars being another one, where we see that technology will actually threaten a lot of these jobs and will push people out of jobs quicker if we raise a minimum wage. People are going to have less incentive to pay their actual human workers. So the minimum wage actually, as we saw on the West Coast when it was implemented, I believe in Washington State, came out to a net loss of jobs and a net loss of income because the wage went up and then the job placement went down, and everyone actually ended up making less money and less people were working. This is what happens with a federal minimum wage. Lastly, my number 3 problem in my top 3 with a federal minimum wage is it ignores states' rights. It ignores the right for states to set their own rules and to compete then within each other. So if Ohio versus PA has they have at a state level 2 different minimum wages, and you think that you'll do better in PA, well then you might leave Ohio. And if Ohio wants to thrive as a state and remain competitive, they might adjust to compete. That's a good thing, and it drives everyone upward. And on top of that, $1 is not worth the same amount in every state. Look, as someone who's lived in Texas, on the East Coast, and in Southern California, I can tell you $1 will not buy you the same thing in every location that you're going to live. There are actually online databases where you can go on and see what $1 is actually worth comparatively in each state and what it can buy you. It's not worth the same amount. So what does that mean? That means that if we set a federal minimum wage, let's just say of $10 for everybody, everyone must pay $10, that's actually really inaccurate, and it really doesn't help everyone to the same extent. It helps people, for instance, in New York and California a lot less than it helps people in Nebraska or in Georgia. And actually, it then hurts some people in those regions a lot more or less, depending on how much the median income is, how much it costs to buy a carton of milk in those regions, how much it costs to keep the lights on and to keep a roof over your head. And it can push a lot of people out of work, push a lot of people out of jobs, and make it so that they actually make Nothing. That's all for today, guys. Those are my 3 top reasons why I push back against a federal minimum wage. Number 1, it kills small business. Number 2, it kills jobs of minimum wage workers, which, by the way, fun fact, only make up about, I believe it's under 3% of Americans even work minimum wage jobs. Many of those are entry-level workers, like high school students, which is where I started out, making minimum wage as an entry-level lifeguard. And number 3, because it ignores states' rights, takes away our ability to compete and drive each other upward, and because a dollar is not worth the same amount in every state, so a federal minimum wage does not make as much sense as a state-level minimum wage does. Take it easy, guys. Have a nice day.